Hi, my name is Michał, and since I heard of the Deno, I think the Rafa was one who told me about this project. I wanted somehow to contribute to it, so I will present you a little example of how to add an OP to the Deno code base. So basically, Bartek covered all of the Rust things which I was worried about would be too complicated, and so we just go through steps to do it. Okay, so where to begin? When I first landed on the Deno GitHub project, I simply went to the Gitter and asked what can I do to contribute, and I think Bartek was the one who just sent me, this issue looks good, this issue looks good, you should try it. But lately I saw this thing that some issues are labeled a good first issue. I think it's like the thing from the last week. Maybe Ryan was tired of answering of question what is a good first issue. So I think you could check it out. And also you don't need to contribute in the code base, like in the core on CLI. You can, for example, John Slope made some changes to the Deno website. I think some typography and fonts, so there are plenty of ways to contribute. So we fork, repo, create branch, commit some changes, and push and create PR. And what's important because I was always waiting too long to make a pull request, and when you start making some changes as fast as possible, you make a pull request, some other can help you if you're stuck with something. Okay, so this is basically the steps needed to create a new OP. Maybe also the little disclaimer, maybe create a new OP isn't the best way to start to contributing, because OP is like a really core API, but I think OPs are really crucial to understand how the Deno works. So yeah. So I will go next. Okay, and later I will give you a link to the slides, and I will provide you the commits with basically like all the code I wrote to make it happen. So all the ops are living in the CLI ops folder in the project. So we need to make at first a new file where we will implement our op. It will be basically a dummy sum operation which will add two numbers together and return it. And every op, I will say every op, JSON op, not every op, yeah, because if you serialize it as JSON, every op should have this header. And this can I skip because Bartek already told what is this. Okay, so here is implementing synchronous add. So it's quite, I would say it's quite op is quite simple, but there's a little bit of things happening. So we need to register it, so the Deno and TypeScript side will be aware of it. And we need to say what type of arguments our op would get. So we define a struct, which in our case will take two numbers, float 64, because of the JavaScript, how the numbers works in the JavaScript side, and we will say to deserialize it. We parse the arguments and returning the result that everything went all right. So basically, we make from like the sum and returning it as value JSON. But if you want to implement asynchronous, the futures gets in the way. And here we will have a dummy example with like sum after some delay. So if somebody needs have a functionality where you add some two numbers and it gives you a result after some time, you can implement it that way. In the poll method, which Bartek already covered, that it just is kept being asked if it's done, it will ask its inner delay future if it's done, and when it's done, it will return the sum of two numbers. So our op, like the final form of op, would look like that. One more thing, when we want an asynchronous, we need to add promise ID in the arguments, because it will be provided later in the TypeScript part. So yes, so we check later if there is, if the operation is synchronous, and if it is, it works the same way than before, like before, and if it doesn't, then we just build our delay with it and provide and fill it with when exactly it has to stop. It has to end its work, and yeah, and just box our future, like add future, like yeah.
Inbound duration and delay. From Tokyo.
I think delay and duration. I think delay is from Tokyo, but I don't remember about instant and duration. I'm not sure. Delay is for sure Tokyo. Yeah. Any questions more about this part? When we're done with the implementing an op, we just need to export it, and later in the new method of the worker, we need to register it. And TypeScript part is much simpler than the Rust part. We need just need to define op add, which will be an identity for op, and also we need to handle the case for asynchronous operation call. And this is how it looks, the TypeScript part for defining add and add sync. The only difference between those two functions are that in synchronous it's send sync, and in asynchronous it's send async, and it returns promise instead of the number.
So this part is like a little bit type unsafe, right? Because like the dispatch or the send sync completely just takes an object that has
Yes, because that would be later handled to the Rust side as arguments.
right.
Yeah, so it is. And basically, what I think send async do, it adds promise ID to the arguments and push it to the queue of the promises. And we can use our new functionality later when we build it, and it works. Yeah. If somebody wants to do it. Of course, later, if we made something, we need to write tests, documentation, and types, because in that way, when in the rep it would work, but when I would write a script, it wouldn't know about any of the new functionality. I need to write a types. Some other places, I think, Deno standard module is a loose part of the Go standard library. So I think if you find something in Go and don't find it in the Deno, it would be okay to just port it. And third-party modules, like Bartek Postgres module, I think there's also a lot of other places where you can contribute or make something that that you didn't find and you need to use in your Deno project. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I think I might have a question.
Okay.
Is there any, are there any convenience methods to work with strings rather than numbers?
With strings?
Like when you implement a new
I-
app and you got, say you wanted to have an app for a string, right? Is that easy to pass string?
Yeah, it's easy to pass strings. Yeah, like I think everything is parsed by, like you mean like you want a pass an argument, which is string.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you basically.
Oh, so Serta just
Yeah. The server does it. Yeah. Server does it. You just. Yeah.
Just anything that is JSON
Yeah.
serializable.
Okay. So thank you.